Yo, welcome everybody. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to TCR Trinity Competitive Racing.
Well, TCR TeeJay is the Season 13 Golden Class Champion for Trinity Competitive Racing.
Oh, let's go, dude! Yes!
Jabbar on the podium! He's on it by a 10! Gentlemen, side by side through one. And silent, and Seafreeze gets a half spin.
Let's fucking go!
Wheel bumping. DRS enable, let's do it. And Captain Blade battling it out for position. Captain Blade. Ickle, what the? Then McChicken goes around and he also makes
rewind down the front straight. Oh my god.
I gotta check the heart rate.
Why do we do this? Because of nights like this.
Yo, welcome everybody to TCR Trinity Competitive Racing, and welcome to the Racing Debrief, TCR's podcast, where we combine the world of e-racing, sim racing, and TCR with real-life motorsports and Formula One, a true racing enthusiast listen. We are finally back with another episode here for the TCR's podcast. I'm your host, Seafreeze, as always, and I am joined alongside our usual co-host of Camden Luca, and we have a special guest for the first time making his appearance. He is your Season 13 Golden Class Champion and current Platinum Class driver. Welcome to the podcast, TeeJay.
Thank you for having me. It's my, I've been here for a long time, and I'm surprised it's my first time in the podcast.
Yeah,
it's kind of surreal.
I think we're on episode 25. I'm actually I lost count, and I knew we had to get you on at one time, and I actually thought we might have had you on at least once, but it's been a little while. But first time here, a little reunion between Camden and TeeJay, perhaps. I know you guys done the commentary a lot in the Golden last season, and maybe you've been here tonight.
That's right. We're going to talk about that too tonight.
Yes, sir.
You might be seeing a comeback.
Maybe we'll get a Camden and TeeJay Golden Class commentary at some point or another this year.
I mean, Golden Class usually is available for comms, so there's a few races left.
Yep, possibly.
Absolutely. Well, actually, going on, just a little update for those. We're going to bring this episode and bring the podcast back with a TCR exclusive episode. For those who are listening, this is going to be reviewing all of our races so far this season, and a little glimpse of what we're going to be having in the second half. So if you are unaware, you can check out those videos on our YouTube channel, description down below, or if you're clicked on this, you're definitely on our channel by now, but you can click the playlist to go to each individual class. We had a little update as far as a revised schedule due to the release of F15, the new game coming out June 16th and then June 13th if you get the Championship Edition. So the revised schedule looks like this. So we will race this week at COTA, USA, which has gone unchanged. The following week would have been the All-Star race, so we are removing the All-Star race and pushing it back to June 22nd, which would be on the new F123 game at Las Vegas. So that's first time we actually have an All-Star race in the season on a different game, and actually after the season, so that will be a lot of fun on Las Vegas, the new track there. So May 16th, 17th, and 18th is Monza for Italy, the TCR Grand Prix. Then we go, which is the biggest event there, so a little, different format for all the classes. The following week, which is May 23, 4, and 5, 23, 24, 25, is Hungary, which is the sprint week and the 3-tire special. Drivers have to use all 3 different tire compounds in the full race. And May 30th, 31st, and June 1st is Portugal. And then we finish off the season at Belgium for 50% race. It was a 100% race for Platinum originally. We have reduced it to a 50% because we're thinking it's going to be lower attendance by that time period. And that'll be June 6th, 7th, and 8th. The one track that got cut out was Imola, so we'll probably have that on next season's schedule. So really, with these revised schedule, we only have one less race, so went from 15 races down to 14 races, but we technically cut out 2 weeks, so we'll be finishing 2 weeks earlier. I don't think that'll have a major impact on the championship because you're only cutting really one race out. So that is kind of the roadmap ahead. So yeah, we'll start with the silver class, and for me, the silver class has been a lot of fun, and I think this next few races will kind of dictate how this finale will end up, because I think we've kind of had it in 3 segments, and if it continues like this, we could continue to have 3 like prominent sections of different drivers, where you had Camden Luca, who's here today, won the first 3 races. Then you had J&B solidify himself as a new silver class driver, winning the next 5 in a row. And then you had Carson, who's also a new silver class driver this year, picked up his first win in the silver class. So we've had 3 different winners only, and it's all kind of gone in order. So if Carson keeps winning, which he could have a few in a row, then it would really be something really unique. I've never seen that kind of before. But whoever really takes charge these next, I would say this next round, but probably the next 2, will start to see if it's going to be a 2-horse race, someone might take charge of it, or will it be a true 3-way horse race down to the finale. So I think everything is up for grabs, but it's probably going to happen in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. And I do think we're going to see more diversity with the winners as the next few weeks go on, because there's a lot more on the line now. Now that the season's winding down, I think you're going to see more aggression, and I'm at a point, as a competitor in the silver class, to where I've kind of accepted, whatever is going to happen. It's been a really good fight with J&B and I, and Carson. Although Carson's only won a single race, he has been there most of the time, kind of just lurking behind. So, and even if you look beyond the 3 of us C-Frees, there's battles throughout the whole grid. You look at the midfield with F1 Nerd and Capitan, they have both been really consistent. Capitan only 1 DNF, F1 Nerd with no DNF, so it's been a great season when it comes to racecraft. I think that's the one thing we can really look at with the silver class, which it is the class that's meant to kind of develop you and help you go up into the higher tiers. But when it comes to the racecraft, it has been really good to watch.
I mean, you're right. Based on what you said, like a lot of drivers are going to get more aggressive. And considering the season is cut short by 1 more race, it's like people are going to try to get the points as quickly as possible, and they try to take more risk. So I think the stores are going to look out for those in the coming weeks.
Yeah, now just to kind of paint the picture a little bit as you're listening to this, I'll kind of go through those 3 main championship contenders at the moment. I would say, really the 3. I think technically you still have others still in contention, but very unlikely circumstances. So we have Camden Luca in the lead of the championship ever since really round 1. So you've been the championship leader for all of the races in season 15. You have 178 points. Following will be J&B, who has 164 points. 2 more wins to his name, but he also had those few DNFs, which cost him. He's at 164. Then you have Carson, who has only 1 win, but fair share of podiums at 158 points, only 20 points back from the lead there. So Camden, after being in the lead for a little bit, how do you personally feel about the championship?
I think you have to be optimistic. It's been good to be in the lead the entire season, and I think that's something that you notice with champions, not just in TCR, but if you look at racing in general, like, most of the champions always get good starts. You usually see them get off to a good start, and it's a lot easier to keep a lead rather than try and go fight for a lead late in the season, you know? So there are a couple of good tracks for me coming up, like Coda, for example, which you guys will see tomorrow. We're recording this on Sunday, but you guys will see that race tomorrow. I've always loved Coda. It's probably a top 3 track for me, so I think the expectations are going to be really high there. I don't know how to feel about Belgium. You know, there's a couple of corners at that track that that scare me, but statistically I've always been good there, and obviously that's the championship finale. So I'm telling you though, I really think all it's going to take is one DNF. For any of us 3, either me, Carson, or J&B, I think the first one to get a DNF is going to be the first one to be eliminated, if you will, from the championship.
Yeah, now TeeJay, you've kind of been one of those drivers that I kind of like to highlight as far as the kind of example of what a driver should look like when they enter TCR, because you were once in the silver class, and many seasons ago.
Oh yeah, I remember those days.
Those are fun days, maybe. For me, that's when I was mainly winning. That's mainly when you were spinning, but it kind of came full circle because you're actually now up there with me, and most times beating me in the platinum class. But you know, you kind of came in our entry-level silver class and spent a little bit time there, eventually moved up to golden, and you know, you had some spot starts, reserve spots throughout. You know, I think you even did a few in possibly platinum here and there, kind of jumping around, improving. But once you got into the golden class, then you really started to improve, and you were also in a championship fight kind of similar to this. I think you didn't go in as the favorite, you went right in as second. So I guess the what do they call it? Not the favorite, but the I guess the underdog maybe, but or the second favorite, I guess, if you want to say it like that. And then you went to the championship finale in season 13 for golden with Warriors and Got Any Weeb. So, and you were actually able to win the championship then. So, and then with that, going to platinum, and you've been, you know, really quick at times. You know, practice really does make it all. But what would be kind of, and that's why I think for any new drivers, you know, there's many examples of many different drivers that come in here in our silver class, and just in a few seasons, if they're, you know, serious about league racing, they'll eventually be in platinum and be like a strong driver. And I think you've kind of solidified yourself like through that journey throughout TCR. So what would be some of your advice and maybe experiences throughout your journey that maybe you can give to Camden, or even some other guys maybe listening, and maybe J&B or Carson's listening, and you know, they could take a few things from it?
I mean, honestly, like you said, I joined TCR in silver class, and it took me quite a while to get, you know, where I am today, and I'm not even where I want to be yet, and that's how funny it is. I came in like I recently got F1 2019. I think December 2019 was when I first got a PlayStation 4, and I started playing F1 games. Well, I started playing F1. My first F1 game was F1 2019. So I think it was Log. I don't know if you guys remember him, Log Horizon or Log 666. Was his name?
Yeah, Log.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to be in the online lobbies because I got bored of my career and I started playing online lobbies. And I guess because I used to race clean, he was like, I would like you to join the league. I was skeptical about it because I'm like, I was playing a controller, I didn't know what I was doing. So I'm like, alright, let me give it a try. So when I joined, I didn't know anything about setups whatsoever. You know, I was racing with people who were much more experienced and knew what they were doing. So it's like I was so bad for a long time because I didn't know what I was doing wrong and what I wasn't doing right. So down the line, I got familiar with people. I got familiar with you, with Breezy, and all those people. I practiced with them, and they didn't take us to Golden. Like, even I struggled in Golden for a while because I didn't have enough practice. I think I realized that it was practice that I was lacking, and that's why I was improving. So when I figured that out, then I started practicing more. Then I started seeing better results in my driving, and I started learning new things. How setup work and how the car behaves in different conditions and different tracks and stuff. So like the more time I put in, the more I got out of it. And I feel like that's the only advice I could give. If you know you want to win, the only thing you can do is practice. You gotta get prepared for the race and make sure you prepared enough. And make sure you've put in a lot of practice that okay, I know what to do and what not to do. I know how the car is going to behave when I get to the certain corner, and I know how to handle it. If the car does this, I know what to do. If the car does that, I know what to do. So I think that's the only thing that could secure you the championship. Because like you said, I came into Golden, the season that I won, season 13. I came in, I wasn't really that, up there. I mean, I was practicing before the season started and like throughout the season, but I think it took me until my first podium. Oh wait, was it? It was France, because I actually remember it was France. It was raining, and I had the line off. And then I remember we spoke about that. So you were like, it was after France. Where you're like, oh, it's your first time on the podium, and I'm like, yo, finally I made it. And ever since that day, it's like I'm like, yo, I actually got a podium without the line on, and I enjoyed it. Like, it felt good to be on the podium, like to take the next step. Because I never in my silver career, I never got on the podium. My golden, like I think I did 2 seasons in the golden class. I never got a podium. So when I first got it, it motivated me to go further and even actually try more and invest my time in the game. And the more I did that, the more I got better and better and better and better. And then by the time it got to I think it was the next race, I won my first race, Austria, because we had France and we had Austria. And then it solidified my motivation even more. Or it's like, alright, if I'm able to do this, then what am I going to accomplish by the end of the season? At that point, I wasn't even thinking about winning the championship. I was just like, let me get more podiums. Let me get more, poles and all that. So it's like, I was just giving it those little 1% every day or every week, and practicing, and I came out. And Warriors and I think I was battling Warriors and Guy Week, and Warriors started making more and more mistakes, and I started making less mistakes. I'm like, oh shit, I might have a chance. And out of nowhere it just came. Like I still couldn't believe it. It was just like a surprise. I wasn't really aiming to win the championship. I was just aiming to get more wins, like taking it a race at a time. Okay, let me try to win this race and see what happens. Because you never know if you're gonna win everything. I don't win everything. I made a couple of mistakes too in Belgium. Where else? In Australia. But still, I never gave up. I kept going. So the advice I'm gonna give is, no matter what happens, do not get cocky. Do not get self-confident. The only thing that's going to get you through is practice. And I know sometimes we practice, and whatever we practice doesn't really show up in the race, because there might be people who take us out, or unfortunate accidents that happen. But you shouldn't let that get you down. If you know you want something, practice or do whatever it takes to get prepared for it, and you're going to get rewarded at the end of the day. So for you, Camden, the more time you put in, the more you're going to get back.
That is some great advice. Really.
I agree.
Really good advice. So champion's advice. So basically, practice. More practice you put in, the more you're going to get out. And the more you get out, the more you learn, and the more you feel motivated to even do more and more. And it's kind of a snowball effect. And when you have that positive, almost learning atmosphere, motivation, attitude, is a championship caliber mindset of only a few in TCR, I really do have that type of mindset that that constant, always looking for that constant improvement, practice, preparation, learning, motivation. Those words, can really make you go far.
Yeah. Can I just add on to this real quick? So I really like how TeeJay, how you're really focused on practice and how you said to avoid getting cocky or self-confident, because it can be really easy. Say that you lose a race or you lose a championship, it can be very demoralizing. You can take a look at all the practice that you did and say, oh, well, it didn't work out. But at the end of the day, though, there are some things that are out of your control. And, I'm not going to go and predict what is going to happen, but let's say I do not end up winning the championship. I don't think that I'll be as upset if I simply put in all the practice and did the right things. If it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. But I would rather lose a championship, just by doing everything right and, maybe somebody's faster than you, compared to either A, getting self-confident or cocky and, getting yourself into a crash, or B, not being prepared enough. So that's all it comes down to, is just practice and just doing what you got to do. And if it works out, then good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you said really brought something back up. I've been reading a book called, I started getting into audiobooks, Atomic Habits.
Nice, yeah.
And it says, I think there was a quote that says, let me see, I'm trying to think. 1% a day, right, equals, it makes you 37 times better in a year, right? And the more you put in, human nature is, we want rewards right now. When we, think about it, if you go to the gym, you want to see your gains right now, and if you're not seeing that gain, you give up. Right? You're like, oh, I lose motivation because I'm not seeing what I want. You might be practicing right now. You might be putting a lot of time on the game right now. But because you didn't win a championship, you're gonna be like, oh, I didn't win a championship, I'm gonna give up. But if you take that as, oh, I've been practicing, and if I keep doing it, down the line, I'm not thinking about right now, right? If I don't win a championship right now, down the line, I will win one, or I will get a championship. If you think like that, you're definitely going to win a championship. Because if you forget about the now reward and focus on the future reward, then you get, whatever time you put in, you get it right back. So I feel like you touched my mind, and I like that. It kind of brought something back in my head. So focus on the future, but not the now.
I feel like Camden feels inspired, and I like that.
I am. Yeah, no, because I've been close to getting a silver class championship. I came third in season 12. I came runner up last year. So, I don't think about it often, but I feel like as somebody who's in my scenario, it can be easy to say, what if I don't win it? What if out of all 4 seasons in the silver class, I don't end up getting a championship? It can be very demoralizing, especially when you're going up to a new class the way I am next season. You need all the motivation.
That's true.
In the world to keep going. So yeah, that's a really good point, TeeJay.
Because you said this is this is going to be your last season in silver class, no matter what happens, is what you said coming in.
Yeah.
Because you said you're going to go to the golden class next season. You said possibly on a wheel. I don't know if that's still going to happen, but you said you still want to be up there in the golden class.
I think so. I think, going back to what we said, we always want to improve at some level. And I've been in the silver class for 4 seasons on a controller. Despite what the result will be, it's time to move on. It's time to go up and do what TeeJay did a couple of seasons ago and just take the league by storm. Maybe it won't happen next season just because I'll be on a wheel and it's probably going to take a little bit for me to get up to speed, but, I don't plan on retiring anytime soon. I plan on being here and competing for championships, so it's going to be a process, but, yeah, we'll see what happens, man.
And that's all I love to hear. Yeah, I'm really excited. I feel like if you're going back to practice, my performance this season, it is so bad that I am embarrassed to call myself a TCR Golden Class champion because right after my Golden Championship, I believe I put in a good performance in my rookie season in Platinum.
Absolutely.
But now I can't even, if I compare my rookie season in Platinum to the current season, my second season, you're supposed to go from being a rookie, like a good rookie, to improving. I really went backwards, and that's because I don't have much time of practice. So it shows that we know, alright, F1 games are kind of hard, or this game is kind of hard, but I played this game last year. Last season was also in the 2023 game, so it's like I should have no excuse on performing poorly because I think it's not like it's a different game. It's the same game. It's just a different order of the game. But like, it really shows that practice really means a lot, and I haven't been getting a lot of practice in.
Yeah.
Oh, it does. Yeah, no, it does.
Yeah, I think that it kind of does change depending on the season for a few drivers, like what they have happening in their real life. Their practice does change, what their performance is. But I always think of it like as us drivers, when we first get this new F123 game, and this has been constant and similar to when we've had previous games, I always think of every driver starting from basically a baseline. I mean, others racecraft and race knowledge, race IQ, if you will, is a little higher than others just based off of how many years they've been playing the game. But you normally start at somewhat of a base level because no one's played that game, right? So when you first get the new game, it kind of the knowledge you learn from that game kind of improves a little bit. And for others, you have a steeper learning curve, others a little lower. And over time, depending on their motivation, how much practice they put in, and a lot of their individual life, can get in the way to limit how much they practice. But if you look at the times that we were placing at the beginning of this F122 game versus what we're doing now, I mean, it is crazy the difference between the first season on the game versus the second half of the season, because TCR, we do 2 seasons per game cycle, so the second season on the game cycle is always quicker because drivers are putting more and more time, more and more practice, more motivation. They're learning so much more. Every driver throughout the course of the game cycle is almost developing kind of like a real F1 car aerodynamically, but it's just how much we're learning about the process. So if you trust the process and you stick with it, I mean, there will be success for everybody. Now, everyone's goals and values of what you feel is successful changes, but you kind of have to tweak that on the fly. But yeah, that's kind of the way I look at that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Were you going to say something, Camden? Otherwise, I was going to...
Yeah, so I just want to go back to the practice thing real quick. When you're thinking about motivation and what keeps you going, it's easy to get superstitious as well, especially if you come close to winning races and championships and it doesn't work out. I do believe there is a little bit of luck involved, but the people who work harder typically get luckier. You look at champions throughout any sport, they've all gotten lucky at some time. Like Lewis Hamilton, he's a great champion, but he's gotten lucky. Max Verstappen, great champion. He's gotten lucky. What do they both have in common? They've both worked their asses off. That's the bottom line. Like, they didn't just appear at the top of the podium every week. Like, they did everything that they needed to do to become a champion. So that's just the way I view it.
Yeah, absolutely. So add upon that, it's like, imagine qualifying, right? Qualifying sets the grid for the Sunday race. You can't get lucky with a safety car to get a win if you don't qualify in the top 5. You know what I mean? If you don't qualify high up enough to take advantage of the opportunities that come your way, you can't win. If you qualify P6, right, and or take, for example, Bahrain last season, when was it Mercedes that came 2 and 3 or 1 and 2?
It was 2 and 3, I believe. Yeah.
They qualified in a position where they could capitalize on the Red Bull's failure, because I think Leclerc won that race, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they were down in P14 or P13, they couldn't finish P2 or P3 because they were nowhere near the luck, or whatever luck was involved, the Red Bull crashing. So you gotta put yourself in positions to get lucky. Luck doesn't come your way. You get put in positions to get lucky. That's how I view it.
Wow.
You put yourself in a position to get lucky.
Sounds like a song. What song is
It
that?
is a song. It is.
I should make one, maybe.
Well, I don't want to be up all night.
That was good.
I just wanted to kind of say a few final things, since I had the privilege and honor to commentate the Silver Class, and I do really enjoy it, and I look forward to it every single Tuesday. I really wish this game kind of worked out a little bit better, where we had a fuller grid and such, but for those who kept showing up, I really do thank you, and we had, I think, like Camden had said earlier in the episode, that it's a solid grid, and for an entry level or lower level here in TCR, sometimes it is kind of that learning entry level class, but the racecraft we've seen in the Silver Class this season has been one of the best, in seasons. I know we have had lower attendance, so that could contribute with lesser cars out on track, but nonetheless, I think everybody racing side by side, it's been very nice to commentate on, and I'm lucky to commentate on a nice class, because it's seeming to be a nice championship between the three contenders of Camden, J&B, and Carson. We do still have a little bit of a constructor battle, although Haas of Capitan, who's done a great job in his return to TCR. He once raced back a few seasons ago, and we're talking about that improvement. He was not this type of driver when he was first here. He came back kind of full circle, and now he's trying to bid for a constructor title, trying to win it off of Camden and Chabar, who were last season's constructors champions of season 14 with the Alfa Romeo crew. Although I think all in all, it's been a great season. I look forward to seeing how it will go down the line. We've had some, new drivers that have kind of, like J&B, Carson, Toblerone, come into the class, and I think hopefully they're here for many, many more seasons. We had some return drivers of Capitan, Halberg even, and all the other veterans that have returned for the other season, whose maybe last season was their first, like I think F1 Nerd and Oreo, Bags, some of those drivers there. So all in all, very pleased with it all. We've had a nice season, still 5 more rounds left to go, I believe, and I will want to put in some predictions. Now, Camden, you can't really vote in this one, because I would feel like you would vote for yourself and your team in the end of it. But I don't know. Let's have some fun. TeeJay, what would you say for the Silver Class Constructor and Drivers Championship?
Well, I'm gonna say whoever finishes first wins.
Come on, that's too easy.
Of course he would.
But yeah, to be honest, you can't really say for sure, but if I'm gonna be biased, I'm gonna pick my boy Camden, because I know he's come from, he knows, he's been in the position where he lost the championship before, and he knows what to do and what not to do. So I feel like it's gonna help him. His past experiences is gonna help him realize, okay, there's some places I gotta take it easy, and some places I gotta push. So I feel like that is gonna help him, and he's gonna secure the championship. For the constructors, I'm not really.
Yeah, let me mention it real right now, just so, because I did not mention that yet. So it's the team of Haas with 266 points, with J&B and El Capitan in the lead, who they kind of took over the last few rounds, but they've been at the top spot for a few rounds consecutively. And then you have the team of the Alfa Romeos, Camden, and Chabar with 232. So they are 34 points behind.
Chabar be putting in work, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think he does have more points. I think he said and this is his 3rd season, I believe. He's said that he's got more points this season than his other 2 as far as a maximum total. So that's always a good sign. I mean, we do, on the flip side, we do have less drivers, but I think there's still a good correlation of him improving. But will it be enough? He's tied for 6th at 54 points. So, and then his 5th is F1 Nerd at 91. So he's a little farther back. But he really, I think, in order for the constructors to happen, I think he would have to beat El Capitan, because I think J&B and Camden are going to be so close coming down the line. El Capitan has 102, Jabbar has 54, so that's really going to be the deficit there, unless Camden wins the rest of the races and J&B has a few DNFs, and he can make up that total. So that's kind of my opinion there.
Oh, I see. I mean, so depending on the number 2 driver, or to be honest, Camden can also carry the team, because I feel like Staff did it last season. Well, actually, no, I lied. Let me stop, because it is so tight in the drivers' championship. I'm gonna think. So right now the Haas are in front, are leading, right?
Yes.
Okay. Wait, how much points?
They have 266, and then Alfa Romeo 232, so they're 34 back.
Well, I believe
I can fly.
Yeah.
You can't sing that song anymore,
Yeah.
Nah, that's a conversation for another
Is
day.
that politically incorrect? Am I going to get canceled?
No, it's just the artist behind the song. Anyways.
Okay, yeah, I believe. Well,
go ahead.
It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be close. There's 5 races to go, and the tension is gonna be high. So whoever makes the least mistakes is gonna come out on top. And I'm gonna talk to my boy Chabar, right? I'm gonna tell him, you gotta start coming in 3rd, bro. Like, if you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Don't let people know. But.
I think that's actually very doable. I think he's very capable of having some good performances, and if he has a nice stretch here, it could really happen. I mean, we get around 12-ish drivers for Silver Class this season, so if he gets a good qualifying, some things happen, and he has a good position, I mean, it could definitely will happen. But as far as my predictions go, I think it'll be a split. I think it'll be a split championship this season. I think Haas will definitely get the constructors, just because I see El Capitan, his performance this first half or through 9, because we're a little over halfway here. I think El Capitan has done a great job, and I don't see. I think they're just going to score enough points in the next few rounds to kind of solidify it. So, they've had a really good team as well, a good family team there, and I think they might get the constructors come down the line. As far as the drivers, it's tough, but and it really could go to any of the 3, depending on how like I've said, these next 2 weeks go. But ultimately, I think it's going to be the Alfa Romeo of Camden Luca, because he started. He was in a similar fight last season with Rafa Hulk, but this one is more. He's more in charge of this one, and I think his experience through the entire season will suit him well. And he's also been in the lead for all of the races so far. So now that Carson's being in the mix, maybe does he take some points off of J&B? Does maybe, if Carson wins, would that take some points off of others? How would that work and shape out? But I think because there's the 3 of them, I think it could kind of help, actually, in a good way for Camden. So I think I'm going to go split decision for the Silver Class. But You're going to have to find out on Tuesdays, 8:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tune in. This week is the USA United States Grand Prix at COTA, and we have 5 more rounds remaining. So I think that'll do it for silver class. We're going to move on to the golden class. Now, we don't have much intel because I know I've done a few commentaries for the golden class. Camden's done a few, and
I've done none.
he's done none.
We gotta get you back in there.
Hey.
So I'm gonna go through now. This isn't updated through Canada. Canada hasn't been done with the points, but it still is SPM in the lead for the Golden Class Drivers Championship. Then the main Wayne is out in second. So, but before Canada, it was 178 to 145, and I believe SPM won the race last week out at Canada over the main Wayne. I think was he second or Raiden?
Main Wayne finished 5th.
Oh.
Raiden got 2nd, so the gap is almost
wow.
50 points.
Okay. So yeah, it did open up a little bit there, and yeah, Raiden was in 3rd before Canada with his with 80 points. So with this podium, he'll be up a little closer. But it's mainly a 2-horse race. But I think SPM has had such a handle on this championship. Now it's been kind of a 2-horse race throughout. You've had also only 3 different winners in the class. You've had SPM, Main Wayne, and only Raiden, who was able to win in China. Apart from that, no one else has been able to grab a win, which I think in this class was more surprising to me, given we have 4 silver class champions on this grid, a multitude of veterans in the golden class, and yeah, I really expected more people to be winning races. I'm surprised Tebow wasn't able to get a win. Any of the Alpines weren't able to break through for one. GMBZ in the Aston Martin actually was my pick actually at the beginning of the season. He was a new driver to the grid. I thought he could be kind of that driver. I think he's in 5th place at the moment. He wasn't able to, so a little bit of surprise there, although I think that just speaks amplitudes of what SPM and Main Wayne were able to do, because they were basically, when you took all the promotees from Golden Class last season up to Platinum, SPM and Main Wayne were the next 2, so it's kind of not a shocker that they were there. The biggest shocker is Tebow having kind of a fallback season, because he was actually higher in the standings last season on SPM and the Main Wayne, but this season wasn't able to kind of repeat even what he did last season, so a little bit of a difference there. And just one point I wanted to make, and mainly based on, and it's no pun intended, but based off of the race last week at the Canadian Grand Prix for the Platinum class, I'm going to call out any of those drivers who were in Golden Class last season and they didn't want to move up to Platinum, but I forced many of them to move up to Platinum, because Main Wayne put what a performance and improvement from this driver. He might not be in charge for the championship, as SPM has had a great season, but the Main Wayne, absolutely, he was hundredths off the pole position in Platinum class. He almost grabbed the pole in Platinum class. He was leading, I don't think leading the race. Well, I guess he did lead a few laps actually. And he was up with the main pack, racing with the likes of Tasmanian Devil or B-Tom, a 3-time platinum champion, professional who's in the in the running for, and we'll get to, and myself and Mebe and all these other drivers. He puts himself right in the conversation and had a great performance. Maybe didn't get the result he absolutely wanted, but that just speaks to what could be done from a golden class driver to move up to platinum if you put that practice and time and motivation in, which Main Wayne has definitely have done. He didn't do this by just showing up. I know he's practicing, I know he's playing the game, because it's showing off in his results in both golden and platinum. So for any drivers that, you know, maybe were on golden class last season and they didn't want to move up and they stopped practicing and stopped, you know, motivated, you know, they weren't as motivated, it's not a surprise your results aren't as good. But if you were in golden class and you did have that motivation, you put the practice in, then you would have had a good season. So it's really up to the driver and what they really want to accomplish. But I think Main Wayne is a perfect example. A copy paste. You move his performance from golden, you put him in platinum, and he almost showed us all up. I thought that was awesome. So really impressed by him. So I just wanted to kind of say that.
Yeah. I think then he stepped out of his comfort zone. What doesn't happen if you stay in your comfort zone? So you gotta get out. You gotta stay. If you wanna be stagnant, or you wanna be stagnant, you wanna stay in the same place, you could be in your comfort zone. But if you wanna improve, get out and look for something challenging.
Yeah, and really, what speaks to Main Wayne's volume, and not just him, but SBM, they're the only two drivers in the Golden Class this season that have not had a single DNF. So if you look at the Golden Class, there's definitely not only a pace gap, but there's a little bit of a racecraft gap. And you really can't predict that, though. If you perform well enough to where you should get promoted up, you're probably going to get promoted up. Right? And you know what they say, when you're on the top, there's no place you can really go but down. And it's a lot easier when you're winning, and, you know, you feel a lot more relaxed, and it's like, hey, you know, I kind of like this environment. But when it's time to move up, then it may not be as fun at first. And I feel like, you know, SBM and Main Wayne, even though Main Wayne's, you know, not in contention to really take the championship right now, I think he should get moved up next season, just because he's shown that pace and the racecraft to do so. And going back to what we said before, that's kind of how TCR works. You know, you want to be able to move up eventually. So I think that's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it's kind of a little glimpse to platinum, but I mean, not fully, because it's still kind of in the class. You know, if you look at last season's champion of Got Any Weeb, who he went to the finale against TeeJay in the three-way finale in season 13. And then wasn't able to win it, but had a very consistent season, grabbing a few wins in season 14, and a great prediction by Seafreeze on one of these podcast episodes. He was able to grab the championship in last season for Golden Class, and he didn't want to move up. And I was really trying to force him up, because it's like, well, if we don't move the champion up, how are we going to move anyone else below you up? Like, if you win, you basically have to go up. There's no reason for you to stay in the class. And although, I mean, Got Any Weeb right now is P9 in the championship with 30 points. He leads every other golden driver that got promoted, so he's doing well there. And he's actually beating TeeJay as well. So maybe a little motivation for TeeJay as the other golden champion. But if you look at Got Any Weebs, sorry, just I mean,
hey, like you said, it's live practice. That makes me not practice. So wait for the summertime. Wait for the summertime.
But I think Got Any Weeb, I mean, if you look at his performances in platinum, he's actually, you know, performed really well. Even last race, he had some good races. So yes, he's not, you know, winning races in platinum, but you know, not everyone is, only a select few are, but that's where I'm sure he's having a lot of fun learning against some of these really quick drivers. Like a lot of, if I remember France as well, he was up there in the pack with all of the other quick drivers of platinum. So it's a place where you really get to learn and improve yourself, and you have to lower your expectations and change them a little bit. But if you're able to do that, then it could be really well. You know, others, you know, get moved up, and, you know, one or two races, they don't even give a valiant effort, and they stop practicing, and they lose motivation. And those drivers, you know, they just want it to casually win. But that's not how it works. But Yeah, a little complex thing of between how Golden and Platinum works, but yeah, I agree. SPM, Main Wayne, both are deserving, and I'm really impressed by the both of them. How they've been able to do. I think really, I think everyone has kind of had their fair share of moments, of good moments. I think the Alpines had some good moments. A lot of poles by FND. Wasn't able to win any of the races yet. Possibly, still can do that. But a couple podiums to his name, so that's always good. So I think these drivers, everyone has kind of their own select few races that they really do perform well. But I think it's also hard to perform in Golden because it's so close between all the different drivers in that midfield. A few different errors really can change how your outcome could be.
Well, I think TeeJay is the guy to speak on this. I mean, we're getting to the point now in the season where, if you flash back to season 13, this was when TeeJay started to go on his stride and started to really pick it up. So, although SPM has roughly a 50-point lead on Main Wayne, and 50 points calculates to about 2 races, it is not over. The concern I had for SPM going into this season was his racecraft, because there were a couple of races last season that he had a chance at winning and absolutely threw them away. And the one I'm thinking of specifically is Abu Dhabi. He dominated that race, and then we had a late safety car, and he got over-aggressive on the restart and just threw it away. I think he's going to hold on, but you never know. When you have a guy like Main Wayne who is consistent and has shown platinum pace at times, he could go on a TeeJay type run and surprise everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
It could happen. I'm not denying. It could definitely happen. And actually, I was looking at it now. For the Constructor Championship, that is actually a lot closer than I'd thought. Now, I don't have the updated points. I don't know if anyone wants to do any calculations for me, but going before Canada, it was McLaren leading at 225, which is Main Wayne and Raiden, to Mercedes 214, which was Thibaut and SPM. And again, that's before Canada. I know SPM won the race, Raiden got second, Main Wayne was 5th. I don't know where Thibaut finished, but it seems to be pretty close between those two teams, and that could go either way. I think McLaren as a team have been doing better, but SPM's kind of been carrying Mercedes a little bit. And if you look back at last season, the championship, the champions were in the constructors for Golden Class was actually the Mercedes. It was Thibaut and my teammate in Platinum this season, D'Angelo. So both I think actually all 3 pairings, well, if we get to Platinum as well, Taz or B-Tom and TeeJay, you're technically runner-up spot right now. So we could have a season where all of the constructor champions teams could be second the next year. Could happen.
True, but you never know. What if I come back?
I wouldn't like that.
You wouldn't? Oh yeah. But actually, I think when I started racing the season, my performance was so bad. I was behind D'Angelo. No disrespect, but I was quicker than D'Angelo. I was quicker than D'Angelo, but I was behind him throughout the season. So it's damn, I really fell off. But hey, just life situations happen, and once you get over it, you got to come back stronger. That's my goal.
Yeah, I think you have an opportunity too, and we'll see how the new game is too. I think that's going to shake up a bunch of things. So,
Yep, absolutely.
I don't know. Anything else from Golden Class? Anything else to mention?
Well, I think we do need to do our official predictions, right?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, we said all at the same time.
Well, I don't really have the full championship standings in front of me, but I will stay with SPM. in the Mercedes for the Drivers' Championship. And as far as the Constructors, I don't know the actual gap, so I think it could also be another split championship. I think McLaren could get it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with McLaren.
Okay.
Interesting. So for drivers, I've got SPM. You know, I think he's going to hold on. I think he'll actually clinch the championship with a couple of races to go, which does not happen often. I'm thinking about the constructors because I did the math after Canada, and by the way, based on penalties from that race, Raiden actually finished in P3. So Mercedes is now within 3 points of McLaren.
Oh,
for the Constructors' Championship.
Well, that could change my result here, but go ahead, let me hear you.
Man, I mean, you look at Tebow, like, the dude already has multiple championships to his name, if you include drivers and constructors. And is he going to get another one right off the bat here? I mean, that would be 3 seasons in a row, right, that he's got some sort of a championship? Because I believe he was constructors last year, right? For Golden Class? Yeah.
Golden Class, yeah, with D'Angelo, yes.
Yeah, so I am going to go against that. I don't see it happening. I don't see 3 seasons in a row with back-to-back constructors. I'm going to go McLaren for constructors. I think it'll be split. SPM drivers and McLaren constructors.
Yeah, I'm going to go the same way. Just because I think it's going to be close. I think if SPM keeps winning, they could probably get it there. Yeah, we'll see. I think McLaren needs to continue to get those podiums and see if Main Wayne can grab a few more wins, and then I think they could hold on to it. But yeah, that's assuming SPM wins, more races and Tebow has bad performances. But if either of those factors change, then the championship could alter. So good stuff there. Well, anywho, good luck to Main Wayne and SPM and the rest of the Golden Class drivers. We didn't go through every single driver because that would take a long time, but I hope to see a bunch of those drivers returning for next season, and yeah, we'll go on to the Platinum Class, which for the first time in a little bit we have a close championship coming down the stretch, and we haven't had a true close. When's the last time we had a close championship in the Platinum Class? It rarely does happen, and I'll tell you why. Because in order to win in Platinum, as TeeJay's already mentioned, we've mentioned many times, you need to practice and have that motivation to win, basically. And the drivers at the top of Platinum are really good. They practice. They either practice, dedicated practice for the actual league races, or they're playing the game just to play the game, but they're on the game. And, they have a lot of experience, tons of races under their belt, lots of wins, a lot of, they know what to do. And it's very difficult for 2 drivers to match each other for the entirety of a season length, because usually what will happen is once one driver starts to take lead, the other's practice time kind of decreases and their performance also goes along with it, thus allowing a bigger increase in that driver's championship gap. But I believe the last time we had a championship this close, now I know in season 13 it was kind of close between Bats Plus and Taz, but I don't think it was as close at this stage. You go back to probably season 10 between Kersey and Sequit. That's probably the closest championship you might have had. Because Taz won pretty dominantly in 11 and basically 13 and 14, I would say. and Possassin was season 12. So, yeah, this is a pretty true championship fight. As of right now, this is the Drivers' Championship. Now, this is also post-Canada, but it's it's pre-steward decisions. And there is a steward... yeah, sorry. Pre-post. There's too much pre and post. I don't know. These standings are post-Canada, but pre-steward decisions for Canada. So there is a ticket for between B-Tom and Darth Vader, and a time penalty could alter, the points here. But as of what we have right now, this is what we have. It's Tasmanian Devil or B-Tom, a 3-time Platinum Class champion, in the lead for McLaren at 174 points. And you have multi-race winner in Platinum Class and TCR veteran with over 100 starts is Darth Vader. I think he has over 100 starts. I think he does. If not, very soon. With 159 points. So he is... what's that? 14? 15?
15.
15 points. 15 points. So he's 15 points behind with 5 races left. So he's very much in the conversation. Silent has 106, so he's basically fallen out of the Drivers' Championship. So it's either between B-Tom, aka Tasmanian Devil, or Darth Vader, aka Professional. What are your thoughts, Camden, as you kind of took over for Blinn as the head commentator for Platinum Class, the third voice of TCR? How have you been enjoying, commentating these races, and overall thoughts on the championship? What are you thinking?
Oh my God! Well, first of all, I just gotta say, this season, at least from my timeline of being in TCR, this has been the most exciting season I've seen in TCR. I said this after the finish in Canada, but I believe the majority of the races have had a last lap battle for the win. That barely happens in a season. It'll happen maybe a couple of times, but we've had multiple last lap battles for the win, and the finish at Canada was a little controversial, but a lot of them have been really good finishes with good racing. I do think the reason, though, as to why we have such a close championship battle between the top two is the champion this year is not going to be the fastest driver, because you have a guy in Lawrence who is literally undefeated this season in the Platinum Class. Whenever he showed up, he won. He's got 3 race wins, and if you include the Brazil Sprint, he's got 4. So he's taken a lot of points away from both B-Tom and Darth Vader. What I will say about B-Tom and Darth Vader, though, is that they really are even this year. Usually when you look at a championship battle, you have somebody that either wins more or you have somebody that's more consistent. But both B-Tom and Darth Vader have no DNFs. They finished in the top 5 in every race, and they both have 2 wins. So this is as close of a battle, I think, as you're going to get between these two. I think B-Tom has been a little bit better just because he does have more podiums, but hats off to Darth Vader, though. The fact that at this point last year, the championship was pretty much wrapped up, and now fast forward to this point in season 15, he's right there with B-Tom, so I've seen a lot of improvement from him.
Yeah, absolutely. And professional, or Darth Vader. I like to call him professional. I think is
or Skywalker.
Yeah, Skywalker. What else we got?
7.
Yeah, 007 is another one. As a former, we were former teammates. Professional is someone who is, just very consistent, and he's gonna, for the most time, maximize his day, and I think that's what he's done this season. And I think I've never really seen a professional this motivated and in tune with the game ever, really. I think this season he's put in a lot of time, and he's motivated, and he's having fun, which also adds to it. We know when you're doing good races and you're in a championship fight for really the first time, I think you could have a lot of fun, and you can kind of run with that momentum and kind of use that energy towards the championship. So I think he's done a great job, and he's definitely had a lot of improvement, and this is definitely the best driver we've seen from him. In all these seasons that he's been competing, he's definitely going for it, and I like that, because since Taz or B-Time has come into TCR, besides his rookie season, which was season 10, he won in season 11. I don't think he raced in season 12, but I don't think he would have won anyway, because I think Passassin was super quick. Season 13 and 14, when Taz or B-Tom raced, he won. And now he's up, being pressured in this season. So if Darth Vader beats B-Tom this season, it's technically the first driver to actually beat B-Tom in a full season, one-on-one, mano-a-mano, in a full championship season. That would be the first time that's ever been done. So if he could do it, that would be a championship that would be really well measured against other championship titles for other drivers, and it's one that you can kind of really be happy about if he's able to get it. So I'm just kind of, me and TeeJay are kind of racing alongside them this season, and sometimes we're up there with them, but at the same time I also am kind of accepting I'm not in that fight right now, and I've been in their position before. So this season I'm kind of like, I kind of want to watch this. I had a great view last week of Canada of them tangling into the Waller Champions corner. So either way this goes, I think both will be really happy with their season. But if Darth Vader's able to do this, I truly think it's one of the more special championship runs in TCR. If Taz somehow continues what he's been doing, that's also the most impressive championship title as well, because he would be the first person to win 4 championships and the first person to win 3 in a row. He's also the only driver to win 2 in a row, so he could set the record again to go 3 in a row and with 4 championships. So whoever wins it, it's going to be a season to look back on. And yes, you're right, Camden, going back every single race, it seems like it's a last lap effort. This season's been exciting, and coming down to these next 5, I think it will go these next 5. I don't know if I want to be in the car to get a nice view, or if I want to be in the YouTube watching it through the commentary, but yeah, it's going to be a good season, and hats off to both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you said, we're racing alongside them, and we up there. I've not been up there. I've been DNFing in an 8th and in 9th. So I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I'm seeing them. Like, I didn't even see them on the track anymore. Compared to last season, I was the cork in the screw, like between that Rhoda, and because I was usually right there with Brandon, B-Tom, or Taz, that we call him, whatever. You have so many name changes. But
it's ridiculous.
That's for a different day. But like, I was always there with them, so like, I was like the buffer between him and the other guys. But now that I'm not there, it's like, I'm slacking. I'm not doing my part as his teammate. I'm like a varsity boss right now. Like, I'm not helping him where he needs to be, and
that's actually a great point, because if you could actually have a real implication how this championship unfolds, because if you look at the constructors, it's 265 to the Ferrari team of Darth Vader and Silent, and then you have McLaren of B-Tom and yourself, TeeJay, at 192. So
I only got 18 points out of those.
So you 18 points. So mainly it's been B-Tom putting them in that position. So you can not only help them in the Constructor Championship, but let's say if you do get up there, if you finish second and Taz wins, or if you just finish ahead of Darth Vader at any point, you're taking points off of him and you're extending that bigger gap to your teammate. So you're right. Yeah, you could have a pretty big implication, I think, on both championships. And I think I said that in the post-race interviews last week, is that depending on who races and who shows and who's prepared will dictate how this championship will go. Because if you have a stronger grid, I think that bodes well for really whoever wins that race. If you have a weak grid and that person wins, the difference between is only going to be maybe 7 points. But if you can put a big competitive grid, and let's say Vader or B-Tom wins the race and the other rival finishes 5th, and you had all these other people, then it's a bigger difference. So that will help sway the championship. But yeah, we'll see who shows up in this next 5, and the more people, the more chaos and everything. But also you could see some championships go down to the wire where it is just 1v1. Everyone else is kind of not in the equation. So it could also go that way, and if that's the case, then you're gonna have to do it the hard way, either or, B-Tom or Vader. You're just gonna have to go out there, and then your job is simple: either win the race or come second, and then do it next week. And I think that's kind of the game plan.
Yep. Well, that's how I can put that into play.
Yeah, because I think Lawrence, when Lawrence had a big implication on this championship, because he's sitting P4 as a reserve. He's won every race he showed, and he has shown to 4 races. So he won 3 rather. He won the sprint race and then also the race for Brazil. So he's shown up 3 times. He's won all 3 times, and he's taken points off of whoever would have won, which I'm sure Taz would have had a few. I think at Japan he would have had one, and China as well, I think.
Actually, B-Tom finished second to Lawrence in every single one of those races.
Oh yeah, yep. So there you have it. That would have been that would have been a bigger championship. He probably would be sitting pretty right now if that was the case. So
yeah.
So having him join the grid definitely did change it. Any other notable things I wanted to shout out? Let's see. No, not really. Meb has had some pretty strong pace, although like always this season, I think he's someone to kind of circle to see if he's able to snag a few wins coming down the stretch here. But he's always had some sort of a problem. Last week it was actually his wheel that had cut out at Canada, not a self-inflicting one, although he did have a time penalty, so that wouldn't have helped him win the race either. But so I think he's had a good season though, for the main part. He probably would have had more points if he stuck out some of the races that maybe he made a few mistakes. I know at France he sped in the pits and then retired, so he probably would have been able to get a few points there. So that's really, I think Meb is actually one to kind of circle as we go forward into future seasons as someone who could possibly be a contender, but things would kind of have to change as far as thinking more long term than in the present day. But yeah, no, I agree, and I'm actually going to put a prediction out there. I do think Meb is going to win a race this year. He has come really close on a couple of occasions, and China, he was in contention for a podium when he ran out of gas. Like, things have not really gone his way this season, and some of them have been self-inflicted, but I really think, he was literally 2 laps away from winning that race, and out of the lead, he just crashed out. So I do think if you put yourself in position enough times, it's going to happen. And
his pace in Canada was really encouraging. I really think his pace was better than B-Tom's throughout that race. Because B-Tom was pushing the battery more than I usually see him push the battery, trying to catch up to Meb. So I think he's going to get one. It might be, within the last 2 races. It might not be, this next week. But I am certain that he's going to get one this year.
Absolutely. I say it a lot. If you continue to be the next best thing, eventually you will be the next best thing. So if you continue to stay and be second, eventually you will be, first. As long as you put yourself in that position enough times. You like that one, TeeJay? You like that quote?
Like it.
Yeah. If you continue to put yourself, as the next best thing, eventually you'll be the next best thing. So just kind of keeping your head down and getting good results, and eventually it'll pay off. Speaking about predictions, let's close this off. Platinum class predictions. Let's all go, because I don't think we're involved at all.
Well, I think the coming couple of rounds, I feel like I believe in my teammate. He knows what he's doing, and I know the amount of time that he puts in the game, and I know the knowledge that he has of the game. So I believe he's going to win the championship. But the constructors, I am not sure, because he's my teammate, and I don't know. Right now, the only reason I don't practice is because I have other things going on in my life that doesn't allow me to. I don't know when things are going to change, but I know that if I put in the time, I can help win the championship. Well, at 375 points behind, it's going to take quite a lot in the coming 5 races. I don't think it's possible, but it's also possible. So, but I think Ferrari's going to take the Constructors Championship, and B-Tom's going to win the Drivers Championship.
There you have it. Those are TJ's predictions. I'll go, and then we'll leave it off with Camden as the commentator for the Platinum class. I think Ferrari will get the Constructors Championship, which is actually a little interesting stat here in the Platinum class. The last Ferrari Constructors Championship came back all the way in, anyone want to guess?
Season 7.
Close, TJ?
9.
Oh, a little farther away. Season 5. It was actually myself and Talon who won the Constructors in Season 5 and the Ferraris. So I think they will break that little drought of Ferrari, and it's been a drought. Not as bigger as this one, though. For the Drivers' Championship, I am going to be supporting and favoring and thinking he will grab the championship will be Ferrari driver Darth Vader, aka Professor.
Okay.
I think he is going to get it done, and if he gets this done, this is going to be one of the biggest championships won by a driver in TCR history, and breaks a drought of a Ferrari drivers championship. Do you know who the last drivers championship for Ferrari was and what season? Go ahead.
I'm going to say you. I think that's why you put that statistic out. And I am going to say, well, I mean, I have 3 guesses at this, so I'm going to go...
1. Then it gives the TJ turn.
Well, no, I mean 3 options, I'm saying, because you're a 3-time champion. I'm going to say... screw it, Season 1.
And TJ?
I think it's you in Season 7.
Alright, so Camden, you were right. The last
There we go.
Ferrari drivers champion in the Platinum class was myself, back all the way in season number 1, because
That's crazy.
season 5 was a split championship. It went to Sheeny Boy and the Haas, and constructors was for Ferrari. So if Darth Vader is able to do this, he would break, he'd break that drought as well, which is even bigger than the constructors' drought, which they're gonna break the constructors, I firmly believe, but drivers a little bit more up for grabs. It's almost like a Kimi Räikkönen. He's still the last Ferrari world champion. Somehow I'm still the last Ferrari drivers champion in Platinum, which I didn't really know that quote until we put the drivers championships and constructor championships up onto the website, and then realized, oh wait, there really was no other Ferrari drivers to win. So I think he could break the drought. So that's my predictions. Camden?
Okay. So, 2 seasons in a row of predictions now. If you rewind to season 14, DeBrief took a Ferrari driver to win the Golden Class Championship.
Oh, that's true.
And you ended up being right. And for the 2nd season in a row, I am going to go against you. Now, here's the thing, it's a close race. I think this scenario is different from Gattini Weeb's situation, because Gattini Weeb was kind of just not in contention for it. But I think there's been some people going against B-Tom this year. There's been a couple of incidents that have occurred, and some people have said some stuff about him and how he's over aggressive and how he always does what he does, and I think people are going to continue to get frustrated with him. He's been extremely consistent. He really, if it weren't for Lawrence, he would be pulling away with this championship, and it's going to be close. It's going to be down to the wire, but I feel like I kind of have to go against you, Seafreeze. This will be our yearly thing, to where I go against one of your predictions. But I do think that B-Tom, he's been in this scenario a lot of times. He's a 3-time champion, obviously. And if you want to go back to talking about Ferrari, yeah, Kimi Räikkönen's still the last Ferrari champion, and I think it's going to be that way for a while. Charles Leclerc is not winning the championship this year. Max Verstappen's probably going to win it. So I think it's going to be kind of the same thing in TCR, to where we're just going to see the same champion. So I got B-Tom winning it.
All right, well, there you have it. And if it comes true, it's a good pick. A 3-time champion in Platinum class. It's hard to go against him, but we'll see how that goes. And you can see that on Thursdays, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, this week's United States Grand Prix. And we have 5 more rounds to go, including the iconic race of the TCR Grand Prix, which is at Monza in 2 weeks, as well as the sprint race for Hungary, and the finale at Belgium, which is changed to a 50% race. 5 more rounds to decide the championship. Good luck to both drivers and to all drivers and TCR. But I think that's going to do it for this episode. I want to thank our guest of TeeJay for joining us. It's been a pleasure. That's where you...
Thank you
thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, there you go. That went. We didn't go over that in the debrief of the podcast, so no worries. It is the racing debrief for a reason, so I guess we didn't go through that in the debrief. Anywho, thanks, Cameron, as well. We'll see you next week throughout the races. Thank you all for listening to this episode. We're going to try to crank them out more regularly. Make sure to follow TCR on all socials and join the TCR Discord server, where we are the most active. And it's been a pleasure. Until next time, have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.